So, looking at you, and when we first met you, I was like, okay, I have a lot to learn from this guy about muscles and physically building my body and all this kind of stuff. But then the more that we got to know each other, I'm like, actually, I think I have even more to learn from you just about mental resilience and how the body feeds the mind, because I'm fascinated with like beating that mind into submission using the body. And I think that's probably one of the things you're an expert in of many. It's crazy how the mind is such a big part of the physical fitness game, and the two can either complement each other or kind of like be head on and like ruin each other's progress,
Yeah, I believe the mind is the foundation to everything you do, specifically when it comes to fitness, because I could give you the best, most well-written program to ever be created.
Yeah.
But if you're not ready to break away from the habits and your current lifestyle, then it doesn't matter how good the program is or the coach is, it won't work.
No, it really doesn't. And people don't realize how much they can change like as a person when they're making a physical transformation. If they're like losing a lot of weight or putting weight on or overcoming some sort of injury or disease or whatever, like the body, yeah, sure, we're getting the goals we want in the mirror, hopefully, but the person is changing so much more. And like, that's where I like to spend time. It's like, no, like we actually need to become a different person to believe that we have earned this body and we deserve to have this new body, and the mind has to believe that, or it's not going to stick. That's why I think so many people do roller coasters.
Yeah.
They get one goal, then they fucking lose it because the mind didn't go with it.
Yeah. You hear about people talking, specifically with regard to the anchor, finding the anchor and like having an anchor. The Rock talks about it all the time. And for me, it's just become a lifestyle at such a young age. I remember working at Subway, this skinny ass little kid, I was a sandwich artist. And I would get, so I was skinny as hell. You would never know that I was even trying to lift weights.
Imagining you right now at Subway.
Yeah. So I'd get done. I'd hop on my bike. I'd drive across or ride across the bridge. I'd get to the gym. It was like a hardcore gym, right? And I had this like big rag top. I had I did not belong in that thing, but I wore it. And the culture in the gym, they helped me. You know what I mean? It was a gym where it wasn't arrogant. Like everyone in there was helping each other. And that's where I fell in love with it. You know what I mean? And from that point forward, no matter what shit I was going through in my life, I could always turn to the gym as the one thing that would always be there no matter what. And you can go in there no matter how bad your day is and just turn it all off.
Yeah.
And when you leave, I don't know many people who have gone to the gym and leave in a worse mood than when they got in there.
Dude, 100%. And I have turned my day around countless times. It's an infinite amount of times going in, having a bad day about something. It could be a bad mood, it could be a sad mood or whatever it is. But if you actually go in and do the work in the gym, like you said, that shit gets erased.
Yep.
And you leave there, it doesn't mean the problem is solved when you leave, but at least for that moment, it's like, oh, you know what? I can overcome this. There's like a light at the end of the tunnel, kind of, and just from a workout. And if people don't understand that, if they haven't experienced it, it is true. Like you can really change your mind using your body. Even if you're going through something crazy like a divorce or a death or something like that, and you're in the shit, like you get yourself in there, put yourself through a hard workout and get away from that physically and mentally, it really does do wonders.
If you think about it, people in general, over the terms of every day, every minute, every hour, we're always thinking. It's this, the cyclic thoughts. You're just always stuck in thoughts. When you go into the gym to train, you disconnect from it. You disassociate with it. You turn it off.
Right.
So you kind of forget about how bad it may have seemed before, because now you realize when you're done, it's really not as bad as you had thought it was.
That's another reason why it's so important to actually have a plan when you go too.
Yeah.
Like when you have a plan that you just follow and, you can turn all that stuff off. And that's one of the most important things about having a plan in general when you go into the gym, is that not only are you going to get better results, but also you're able to turn your head off and turn your brain off and not worry about, all right, what sets, reps, all this crap that you shouldn't be worrying about in the first place, and just focus on, the repetition. That's it. And, there's definitely something to say about being able to turn that prefrontal cortex off, that the inner Woody Allen, the thing that everybody has in the front of their brain that just tells them that they're not good enough. They can't do it. You can't lift this weight. You can't do this. You can't be with this person, divorce, blah, all this stuff, right? That's your prefrontal cortex. And when the gym is a perfect example. When you go into the gym and you are embattled against the weight, I guess you would say, right? That turns off really quick. And it happens when you're running. It happens when people go underwater, when they do like scuba diving, it happens. And it happens in these very specific situations that we can put ourselves in that situation to turn that thing off, get clarity. It allows your subconscious to get clarity. And then when you come back, when you're done with the gym, it's like all that stuff kind of goes away.
Shooting does that for me too. Mm-hmm. When you're doing something that's like a little dangerous or something you really want to be dialed in so you don't have it go wrong, that also helps me too, especially if it's like long range, like a rifle or a sniper or something. Like when you're in the moment, you're like really making the calculation. You understand if you miss what the ramifications could be. That really also kind of takes you hyper-focused down that tunnel.
Mm. Yeah, and you can apply that to fitness, firearms, whatever. When people have too much time to think, it becomes the death of them. Mm-hmm. And I've had to learn that the hard way. And I constantly try and keep myself busy because I naturally have the tendency to sometimes overthink and overanalyze things. But the more busy I am, and I say busy in the productive way, not being busy just to be busy, but the more I can stay focused on the tasks that are moving the needle forward, the better off I am overall with absolutely everything. And you guys know right now I'm going through a whole, a lot of caca. So
that's some big changes.
It's super important for me to stay as focused as possible. And again, I think especially the older I get, the more the gym becomes more important to me. And it's just such a love for it. I don't think a lot of people who have not been in our space understand how important exercise is. And it can be CrossFit, weightlifting, tennis, whatever. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is that makes you feel good and gets you out and gets you moving, that's what you should be doing. Yeah. And for me, I'm just like a meathead at heart. I love going in there and challenging the weights, or them challenging me, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's do a quick introduction on you. Adam and I are excited to have our good friend Aaron Williamson on the Earn It All podcast. Finally. Yeah. Let's see, real quick about your background. You're a Marine. We'll talk about that a bit. Got out of the Marines and got into essentially Hollywood as a celebrity trainer. Trained a lot of big names, including The Rock, Stallone, Zac Efron, J.K. Simmons. Dude, I just saw another movie with J.K. the other day. He still looks great.
Is it a red one?
Yeah, I thought it was actually a pretty good movie. Yeah, J.K. Simmons, Josh Brolin, Jamie Foxx. I mean, a bunch. And really just kind of crushed it in that world. Not surprisingly, because you just look at you and you know how to like deliver for people. You know how to get people results. But dude, thanks for your service. And I want to talk about what you did there and how you got into Hollywood, because that's a pretty big transition.
Yeah, made it sound so easy. It's like right out of the Marine Corps, straight to Hollywood.
Like every Marine just goes to Hollywood after they're done, right?
That transition from one to the other was hell.
Oh, I bet. And this episode today, guys, is brought to you by the True North Men's Development Camp, something that Adam and I are part of. I believe you're going to be at the next one in July.
Next one, yeah.
We do purpose, action, direction, and resilience are the core four of that thing. It's up in Sedona at a private property that our friend owns. The next one is July 9th in Sedona, Arizona. So check out truenorth.ninja. It's men only. No ego, no booze. We do all sorts of tactical, mental, physical, spiritual things up there and have a great time. So any men listening that need to kind of level up and get around a new brotherhood, Sedona, July 9th, come meet us there. Mm-hmm. So, all right, let's talk about how you got into the Marines. Like, tell me a little bit about maybe your childhood and what made you get into the Marine Corps.
Childhood was a shit show like I think it is for a lot of people. Yeah. No direction, no real role model to look up to. More worried about reputation, being the cool guy. It didn't serve me well because I lost a lot of opportunities, got into drugs, got into fighting, squandered a lot of opportunities to go to college that, looking back on, I could have excelled, but everything happens the way it happens. So,
are you going to like play sports or anything, or what do you want to do?
Honestly, I didn't even know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like zero idea. I just know that I kind of floated around back and forth between homes, almost went to a foster home, almost died in 7th grade from drugs. And I remember my mom coming to get me out of this hospital that I was dropped off at in Panama City, Florida. She brought me back to Daytona Beach, put me in a private school, and I did better. She made me play sports. So it was like I was always doing something, volleyball, baseball. I was doing track and field. I was playing football. I was doing everything just to try and stay out of trouble. And what I realized by end of sophomore year, beginning of junior year was what am I going to do when I get out? I don't even know. So there was a varsity football player who reminded me of Goldberg from WWE. And he was a savage on the football field. He was a linebacker. Like, I just always remember, like, I do not want to be in front of him. And he went to Marine Corps boot camp when he graduated that year. And I remember seeing him come back, and I didn't even recognize him. Like, lean, carried himself different, talked different, looked different. Everything about him was completely different. And I was like, that's what I want. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of my catalyst for embarking on that next step. So I went down to the recruiter, talked to the recruiter, started doing all the, the activities together to prep for boot camp. And that was it. And then I enlisted.
That's cool. I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school either. Like, I didn't like school. Like, I did okay with it, but I was like, there's nothing here that really interests me, you know? And the thought of going to like a college or a vocational school or tech school or something like that, just like, it was horrible. I couldn't even stand thinking of it. So my buddy comes I worked at Sam's Club at the time, was pushing carts and stuff, And my buddy Donnie comes in and he's like, hey, I'm joining the Navy. And this is just right after like 9/11 happened. And I was already like watching that, kind of pissed off, as a kid, you're like trying to take all this information in, And when he said the Navy, it really just made a quick connection. It was like, I'm going to go do something about that. That finally, I found something I'm passionate and excited about. I'm going to go do that. That's why I joined the Navy.
Yeah, purpose.
It was a purpose. Yeah.
It's a weird testament to how shitty our like education system is, and how, just kind of looking back at it, it's like, 12th grade and you're 18 years old now, and you're supposed to know exactly what you want to do with your life. And if you don't, you just go to college, and then you go get indoctrinated in college for a couple more years. And then, and it's like, it's crazy that so many of the kids in our day and age, if 30s and 40s and stuff like that, like a lot of them have the same mindset as we do about stuff, about especially, like the school and all that. It's like, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
That's like, a good point. I mean, what does that say about the school system if you're not inspired to kind of do anything you've learned?
Yeah.
Like I played music. My parents are music teachers, so I played trumpet forever, like 3rd grade through 12th grade. But I was over that, so I didn't want to do that. But there wasn't anything that I learned throughout history or science or anything, at least the way it was taught to me, that made me want to go like do more of that. So I just wanted to get away from it. I was just super bored with school.
Yep. I liked history, but I
liked some of it, but like, it wasn't like, ooh, I need more of that now.
We asked our fucking, what is it called? The counselor or whatever, like, hey, what can we do? The counselor literally told everybody in my 12th grade class, you can go to the military, you can go be a cop, or you can go to jail. Like those are your 3 options out of it. It's like
I think it's become kind of a cliche thing to say, talking about society as the matrix, but you're kind of built into this structured system, and it's just plug and play. Mm-hmm. And I think we're in an age right now, a time right now, where people are starting to break away from that because of all 100%. How political everything has gotten over the past several years. People are finally seeing past the nonsensical hierarchy of clownness.
Yeah, we're realizing that politics are behind everything.
Everything
that we learned in school, everything that was on the TV, everything that was in our coloring books, all that. So now we're just kind of like, hold on, let's put the brakes on a little bit and just kind of analyze that, you know, and see if we like that direction. And most people, I think a lot of people at least, are like, actually no. I think there's more to it. And I think that's why there's so many, like me, I have a 6-year-old that are like, she just got in kindergarten, that don't even want her to go through school. Like she's in a great private school now. We really like her school, but I'm also like, well, she's still not learning like a lot of the stuff that like I want her to learn.
Yeah.
You know, like interacting with other adults, business, money, you know, confidence, going to the gym, which she loves. And so I'm doing everything we can, me and her mom, to, you know, install those things. But I'm like, there's no way. I'd be extremely surprised. I'll probably be dead if she goes all the way through K through 12. There's no way. Like she's going to be out, I don't know when, maybe 1st or 2nd grade or something like that. But like there's so many cool options now for teaching kids at home in like a really easy way, like the basic stuff, like just math and basic history and, you know, basic science and stuff. But dude, if you think about all the shit we do in school, why in the world did we have to do geometry and calculus and algebra and physics and all this kind of shit? We're like now, like I was in aerospace for a long time. You're not even really allowed to use your brain for that stuff. You have to use a computer. So it's like you can kind of basically walk around with a supercomputer and figure out anything you need to figure out, even if you're a monkey. Like if you're a dumbass, you can still go into your phone and get the answer to anything instantly.
Well, the other
so
thing
why do
too,
we need 13 years in school or whatever?
We were talking about this at dinner the other night. You know, 6-year-olds in China are learning engineering and shit. Like they already know like complicated mathematical equations and engineering, and they're learning like, and they key in on what a kid is interested in, and then they push them down that path. It's like, oh, wow, that makes sense. Yeah. Like the kid's interested in it. They're going to pay attention to it. They're really good at it. So let's, you know, push them down that path. And
not only that, but they're also, and I believe it's in Russia too, where they're being taught how to defend themselves and how to you know, be little warriors instead of
whatever the hell we're doing.
That's what it should be.
Right now, yeah.
That's the real world. You know, so if anyone's like, oh, I don't know, I don't want my kid to know about violence or death or guns or fighting or anything. It's like, well, dude, you're doing them a disservice because they're going to need that. Yeah. Unfortunately, at some point, at least to have an awareness of it, to know what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, and when to potentially interact, you know, when to stop something, when to inject themselves in to stop a bully or to stop an attack or a fight or something. Because we do live in a dangerous world. So the parents that are like, oh no, it's just sunshine and rainbows and cartoons. It's like, no, dude, my daughter literally just asked me today, this morning, and now as I think about it, she goes, Daddy, where do bad guys come from? And I told her, like, well, they're people just like us. Yeah. I told her the bad guys are people just like us, but they act bad. They don't do what they're supposed to do. Maybe they had bad parents or maybe something bad happened to them, but they're just like us, but they just do the wrong thing, which is why we need to do the right thing. And you could see the light bulb go off. She's like, oh man, because in her head, bad guys were like some, you know, like an evil thing that came out of a movie type thing.
You could look at them and just tell.
Yeah, but I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to try to you know, it's just on TV or Daddy will protect you. And like, she knows I will, but like, I want her to know that like, no, that person right there could be a good person or a bad person. And so here's this situational awareness we need to have with that, you know, and she's 6.
Yeah, she's going to be smart when she gets older. This, you know, honestly, man, back to the military thing. When I joined the Marine Corps, I call it my salvation. It taught me so much. I learned so many things about myself. Yeah. But what I realized too was, okay, I'm government property, so I'm limited by what I'm allowed to do now. And as I continue to excel in my military career, my goals became much higher outside of the military of things that I wanted to do, which is ultimately what led me to get out. Did some contracting work downrange overseas. What did you do in the Marine Corps? Did a couple different things that I know of. Yeah, so I was infantry by MOS, and then I had some special duties as a body bearer, carrying caskets, and then
that's fun, dude. I don't know how you did that. It's hard to watch that.
It's carrying caskets. Being a body bearer was the ultimate dose of humility. Yeah, because when you lay someone to rest, that's the last image that family is going to have of their loved one. So we always took it very seriously. We trained for perfection every single day. And then I went on to do personal security for General Pace at the Pentagon, and then went downrange and did biometrics, part of the identity management.
How does personal security work, like as active duty? Like, you said as a general, does he have a handful of guys that are like bodyguards essentially, or
Yeah. So
do you stay at the building? Do you travel with them? What do you do?
So we go everywhere he does.
Okay.
He's got drivers, PSOs, personal security officers, and then he's got Army CID as the rest of the detail. So whenever we would leave to go somewhere, it was always lead vehicle, chase vehicle.
Wow, kind of like a Secret Service.
Yeah, everyone thought I was Secret Service. You wear your suit, you got your body armor, you got your weapons underneath, you got your earpiece. So you come across as looking like Secret Service, but there was some specialized training that I had to go through in order to be a part of the detail. And we're at the Pentagon, the White House. You got to always be ready. Whenever he gets called out, you got to be ready.
Probably far better trained than our current Secret Service.
I mean, the training that I went through was pretty extensive. Yeah. So I don't know what the Secret Service is now, but I don't.
What's it like when you take him like to one of those big buildings, a Pentagon or a White House or something? Do you get disarmed by whoever's guarding president? Like, how does that all work?
No, we just walk in.
You walk in. Yeah. That's cool.
Whenever you go to the White House, you've got to communicate with Secret Service prior to getting to the gate, because you got like colored placards and numbers and stuff that you got to put up so they know that it's you. That way you can just literally show up at the gate. It opens and you drive through. There's no waiting. You're not, in a blind spot or in a kill zone or anything like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Dang, what a job that was.
It was fun, stressful, but at the same time, I really like General Pace.
Yeah.
And I think I became a little more fascinated about the Vietnam War because of hearing his stories. And then those late nights that we're out having the dinners, we would frequently on the way back stop by the wall and give him his time to, pay his.
Oh man.
Man, that's awesome. You're guarding a national hero essentially.
Yeah. I mean, he's got under the glass of his desk, he's got the first Marine he ever lost under his command. And he's got this pretty cool shelf of all this memorabilia that he had from Vietnam.
Wow.
They get together every year, whoever's left still, and they party up. They call him LT.
Yeah.
Lieutenant, yeah.
Is he's still around?
Yeah. I mean, he's off the beaten path now. He's not
good. Yeah. Go enjoy it.
He's not in DC where he used to be anymore.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Man. So that's cool. So then you said you got into some biometrics?
Yeah. So in northern Iraq, there was at the beginning of the war, there was a chow hall bombing in Mosul. It killed soldiers, civilians, and SecDef said, we have to safeguard the bases. How do we do it? So there was this biometric access that they developed. And I was part of the team that kind of led that downrange. So in order to get on a coalition base now, you had to be enrolled into the biometric system.
Yeah.
You would get a smart card. If you came on the base, you had to put your fingerprint down to get vetted. And hopefully you didn't set an IED off prior, because we had latent fingerprint examiners out in the field with tactical teams. You can have a bomb, an IED that goes off, and I can still lift your fingerprint off of it.
Dang. No kidding. Dude, people don't realize how advanced our security is out there. It's nuts. I was just watching I think it's the DA of New Orleans wants to increase like CCTV, like surveillance around New Orleans. And I'm like, well, one, that wouldn't have stopped what happened the other day.
Yeah.
And we're already watching CCTV of this thing happening. People don't realize, like, and then I don't know how many people caught this, but like some of those cameras that showed like the truck coming up the other day in New Orleans, a lot of guys were boxed out. And you could see the cameras like already doing their things, and I wouldn't be surprised if like they're running biometrics without a fingerprint, just by looking at walking gait and facial recognition.
I was watching
that was part of it. Yeah.
Patrick Bet David had this, he put up a video about it, and he was like, they were showing part of the CCTV of somewhere across the street before the truck went down the road, and the camera was tracking the truck. but there was other cars and people
Yeah.
and all this stuff, but it's tracking the truck. And Patrick brought up what I was thinking. He goes,
Why?
how is it tracking the truck? It's like, this is previous, like this is footage that they just got.
Yeah.
You can't track a vehicle after the fact on this footage. So he's like, why is it tracking the truck? And I was like, fuck, why is it tracking the truck?
That's
Like,
interesting.
just some random security camera across the road
Yeah.
before he pulled down the street, and it's tracking the truck. And it's got the little box around the truck. And it's like, you can't do that in post. Like that's active tracking. And you can't, I looked it up too. Cause I was like, cause his guy was looking it up live on the thing. Like, oh shit. Yeah. You can't do that. Like,
Huh.
I want to know the answer on that one.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to Bragg
No.
or Bragg?
Mm.
What are your thoughts on this? Just happened the other day. What are your thoughts on that? Supposedly two, like one active duty and one veteran responsible for these attacks on January 1st.
I mean, same when you think about the Fort Hood stuff a while back. You know what I mean? I don't really know. I don't really know. Like I don't know what words to put in play to describe that. It's to me, it breaks the level of integrity and trust, I guess, in the military ranks in terms of being able to just know that when you're on a base, you're safe. It's just not the case anymore.
Man, that's a good point. Like it is so far outside of the norm of how we think. And especially you being on security detail and stuff, like he's done a lot of that too. Like that is so far outside the norm. It's like almost, you can't even comprehend it.
Yeah. It's like, you think once you're on a base, you're good to go, but that's not the case anymore. Like even on base now, you still got to be,
Yeah.
I don't want to say more alert, but just as alert.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Cause I mean, dude, people don't realize also that like the military is made up of all sorts of people. And a lot of people, a lot of guys, like you were even saying, this is obviously doesn't pertain to you, but a lot of guys go in because they were getting in trouble before. So a lot of guys that are in there now and they have weapons and they have this entitlement, they have a rank on their soldier or on their uniform, like doesn't necessarily mean they're the most squared away guy yet. You know, like the military does square guys away, but unfortunately a lot of them don't.
They used to do a lot better job. We were just talking about this before the podcast out there. You know, talking about how the, you know, initial like basic training has changed over the years, how it changed when I first went in versus how he went in. And like, you know, just seeing the softening of things.
Yeah.
And like, we're seeing that in real time right now. It's like, well, how is that guy in the military? It's like, I've seen some pretty shitty people in the military when I was in. And now you don't even have to, I don't even think you have to be a citizen to join the military now. Like they'll just make you a citizen later. Like, and it's like, what do you think? What did you think was going to happen? You know, like asking the question to the people, like, what did you guys think was going to happen when we soften all the standards, when we allow things that we shouldn't allow, when we, you know, focus on things like DEI or whatever, instead of creating war fighters? Like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, people are going to get they're going to get, what do you call it? They're going to get turned by ISIS or whatever, if you believe in that, whatever. Like
between politics and all these political narratives that keep getting shoved down everyone's throat are, I believe, a huge part of the problem that we're having to deal with right now. Cause it almost allows people to do things they shouldn't be allowed to do based on the narrative that's being pushed.
For sure. Yeah, because all this shit that is supposed to be, that is wrong, that is bad, that is evil, is now been flipped over to being like, no, this is okay. You have to accept this. You have to agree with this. You have to go along with it. And that messes with a lot of people. They don't even realize it. It's like subconscious, you know? And so I think that's why a lot of guys, unfortunately, a lot of people in general do just kind of lose their way. And they do things that are so outside the norm because they've been conditioned to think that right is wrong and up is down, you know, and all that. Yeah. So you're in Iraq. Were you in Iraq for that? You said doing the biometric type stuff. At some point you get out, right? Why'd you decide to get out?
I just needed to move on with life.
Yeah.
Like I needed to, my goal was to come back and like be with my family. I moved to New Orleans for a contracting job opportunity with Marine Forces North. It didn't really pan out the way I had planned on. And literally just couldn't stay afloat. Had a bad marriage over in Iraq. Deceit, lies. Like, I'm a statistic, just like so many other people are.
Yeah.
And I tried to find work and I tried to do all the things I should be doing, but my mind was a mess. I didn't know anyone in New Orleans, and it just got to the point where I just went under. You know what I mean? I filed for bankruptcy. I was living out of my car. And again, back to the anchor, the fitness, I wanted to kill myself, honestly, but I knew I could not do that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to compete in this local bodybuilding competition. I'm going to win the Mr. New Orleans title. I'm going to start promoting myself as Mr. New Orleans around the city so that I can promote health and fitness around the city in the most unlikely place. So I started doing that, started ending up on all the news stations. And then Zac Efron came into the gym that I was training at. He was doing a movie about a Marine Iraq veteran. And we hit it off. They brought me to set. The director and producer were like, we need you to teach him how to be a Marine. What would a Marine do in these situations? How would a Marine walk?
Oh, wow.
So that was my entrance into film and TV. I got to know a lot of people on the crew.
Oh, cool.
And they started sending me the updated production reports. So now every time a production came in, I would get an updated report that would tell me the exact address of where they're at. I had flyers made. Every week I was going hitting all the offices. I was giving out free training sessions. I wanted everybody to know who I was and what I was capable of from a fitness perspective. And that's how the whole thing began. I say it's like guerrilla warfare because I was like passing flyers out like crazy. I was going to coffee shops. I was going to like rich neighborhoods and putting them in mailboxes. And, I was doing everything I could just to kind of reestablish my life.
I love that. That's kind of a similar thing when we started, when my friend James started Peak Nutrition here in Scottsdale. I came on board with him for like the first 18 months or so. And dude, when that store first opened, we weren't doing marketing. Our marketing was essentially it was like kind of a shitty thing at the time. I mean, it looked shitty, but it was real. It worked. But we were taking like protein because we had exclusive rights to First Form in Arizona. And so we would take like the really cool, great flavors of First Form protein and pre-workouts and all this stuff. And we would just go give it to all these businesses. Like we'd go for like a 5-mile radius and just hit every little strip mall and shopping center, walk in, hey, how's it going? We got this shop over here and just hand out this stuff. And it was like, it was guerrilla. It was brutal. Yeah. I mean, as you can imagine, these are other people working there, and these other people come in and they try to give you something out of a Ziploc bag, to mix it up. But we had like a business card and we had a polo on and everything, but still it was, do whatever you got to do, man. I love that you did that.
That's pretty cool. You did that. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's getting back to the root of how all this started. That's why there's so much meaning in it for me, because I literally created this out of thin air. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know the film industry was even there. I never had any desire to be in Hollywood. I had never any desire to do anything with celebrities because that world was foreign to me. I just watched movies as a kid.
Yeah.
And so I call this kind of the destiny piece of the journey right here, because this is where the game changed for me. All of a sudden now I'm in front of some of the biggest names in the world. And I think one of the reasons why I was successful at what I did was obviously, one, I know how to manipulate the body through exercise and nutrition. But two, I don't really care who you are. You know what I mean? I'm there because I was hired to help you do something for your TV show or movie. Mm-hmm. And I would always I would do these assessments with my clients, no matter who it was, The Rock, Jamie Foxx, whoever. And if I felt like they needed something, I would just go buy it and bring it to them. And I think they weren't used to people just wanting to do stuff for them without anything in return.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's why I don't have a lot of content from all my time doing it, because I wasn't concerned about taking pictures and videos and all this stuff.
Why would you? You're there for a job. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think because everyone else wants to do that, that's something that celebrities are always turned off by.
Yeah.
So when you get someone who comes in there with just a real passion to want to I want to turn you into the sickest looking motherfucker you can be for this show. That's what I'm all about.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to be easy. So let's work.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them wanted to, and some of them didn't. And, you know, that's just the name of it.
Dude, it's true. Because like, dude, everyone in the world kisses their butts, you know, because they're celebrities, you know, I get it. So when they have someone like you that's like, I don't give a shit about that. Like, why the fuck did you just eat that?
Yeah.
What do you mean you're not going to do these last 2 reps?
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah.
cool. That's a great way to get a reputation in that world that is full of yes men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. You can really stand out when you take what you do seriously and you live the lifestyle. I think, you know, it's like with Superhuman and you guys with Earn It All. When you live the lifestyle and you start working with someone and they can see it in real time, it's different than having, you know, a coach who is telling you what to do, but they're not doing it themselves, because it makes them question what you're telling them to do.
Sure.
But when you're getting up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. and you're doing all your stuff before the rest of the world is awake, it's there's some underlying motivation, whether they're mentally there or not. Once their alarm goes off, they know that you've already been up doing your thing, and that there's no excuse for them not to be able to as well. And I think that's where, when you can find the right coach and you get in the right rhythm of things, the right trainer, nutritionist, whatever it is, you can feed off of it and you can really motivate someone to change. Like, there's been several celebrities I've trained who have now adopted the lifestyle. I don't want to say it's because of me, but I think some of the things that I shared and them seeing me relentlessly every day, consistently, no matter what, do my thing, it kind of resonates a little bit.
For sure. I think a lot of people would like to know what Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is like. Seems like a really likable guy. He's in phenomenal shape. He's like 50 something now, I think. So what was your experience with The Rock?
My experience with him was a good one. Funny story.
I like this story.
how the whole thing started. I got hired to train the cast for G.I. Joe Retaliation, which is where I first met him.
Yep.
And all the cast trained in Uptown New Orleans at this 24-hour gym that I trained my clients out of. I didn't train there. I trained my clients out of there. I went across to the West Bank to train in the Dirty Dungeon gym. And that's where The Rock would be, which is where I met him for the first time, thinking that he knew who I was.
Sure.
So he was on the elliptical doing cardio, warming up as I was leaving the gym. And I kind of gave him the head nod and, you know, told him if he, you know, needed to train or whenever he's ready to train, or if you needed anything, whatever, like, let me know. And man, I got the dirtiest look, middle finger. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not training him. So I just left, and like it messed with me a little bit, because I'm like, well,
yeah, that's not fun.
I was really hoping that was going to work.
I thought I was supposed to do this thing.
Yeah. So it wasn't long after that I got a text message from him. He apologized, and then from that point forward, we would text the night before. I'd write the workout that I was going to have us do, and we trained together. 5 a.m. every morning, he was in there. But he's super serious about training.
Yeah.
Whenever he got in there, he you know, sometimes he'd have to take some calls or something, but as soon as he started training, phone was done. Like, he didn't answer it. But you know, from a celebrity of his stature, I understand a lot more in terms of like, there's got to be some separation sometimes, right? Because someone is always like, you look over, someone's there. You look over, someone's there. Like, you just can't get away from it at all. So he's very private in terms of like who's able to get close to him. And I understand why that is. Some people will think it's arrogant, but it's, if you think about it, if every time you turned around, someone's there wanting something from you, always, no matter where you are, I mean, you're going to be the same way.
I mean, nuts.
And
I mean,
most
it'd be
people
terrible,
are fucking
probably.
weirdos too.
Weirdos. Weird. Like, weird,
Let's
dude.
be real.
Yeah.
Let's
So
be real. There's a lot of weirdos.
I love that. So you get to know him and confirm he's a cool dude and everything. But I mean, you can see it, you know?
Yeah.
I love that. You walk into the gym, you're like, hey, let me know when you want to train. And you know how that comes off. Like, as if it's just some random dude going by, hey,
Like,
let me know when you want
guy.
let me know when you want to train. Let me know when you actually want to train. Like how he took that in his head. Like, that's hilarious.
I probably would have done the same thing.
Oh yeah, sure.
What?
So you got into acting yourself though. So how did that transition happen? Was it just from being in there and people like, hey, this dude needs to be in?
When I started training some of the bigger names, I got a lot of notoriety from it. I started getting some press out of it. And what happened was a lot of producers and directors started to reach out to train with me. So now that I'm training directors and producers, they're the ones who are in charge of the productions. So I'm meeting them, I'm getting to know them, I'm taking care of them. They're getting to understand who I am and the way I work. But also something I kept hearing was, you have a look, you have a presence. Have you ever thought about getting in front of the camera? And I was like, no. So the advice was, if you're interested, we think you would do well, try and get an acting coach or try and do some acting classes, or let me introduce you to the stunt coordinator on this show. You know, he could use someone like you. So I started kind of exploring all that. And with the acting piece, my first acting coach, he pushed my limits. I never knew how much of a craft and how much technique goes into acting. And there's so many different ways that you can conquer a part, a role, a character. It's like you get a script. The script is written out. This character's dialogue is written out through the whole thing. So it's like now you have to interpret this character the way you see it, and hopefully that's the way the director sees it. Or maybe you can add some flavor to it that the director wasn't even thinking about.
Right.
So now it becomes like I now had this additional source of therapy, right? I had the gym always, but now I'm able to use a lot of these really weird repressed emotions and stuff that I would never really do anything with.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah, and that was the piece for acting that made me fall in love with it.
That is really neat, because it's not just memorizing lines. It's how would somebody who thinks and talks like this live? How would they act? How would they move?
Yeah. Why are they like the way they are in the script? What makes them talk like they talk? Why does he have a scar across his face? You know what I mean? So you have a lot of room for interpretation.
Why is he on PCP trying to kill everybody?
Right.
That's very cool. Yeah. I always thought that acting would be pretty fun, but you got to be in with both feet, I think, because like sometimes you're like, I'll be watching a movie and be like, man, that must look really weird being on a set doing that, but I'm sure it's not when you're a pro and like you know what you're doing and you're immersed in it. But it's a completely different experience. I imagine
you have to remove yourself from it. You have to remove Justin Cross from it and become whoever this other person is. Therefore, you become the character. Therefore, you're not looking at it like Justin Cross is looking at it.
Good point.
So it's much easier to kind of immerse into that craziness of whatever you might be doing in a way that you can't understand it right now. Because there's been some parts where I've had to just like lose my mind a little bit. Sure. And it was refreshing. It was invigorating. It felt good to just get all that shit out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I imagine it's really, especially for some of that, like, the famous example, the Heath Ledger Joker example, where he went super deep into that character and kind of became that character.
Yeah.
And that character, there will never be a better Joker, like ever. Like, I don't think so, and it's like for the style of movie that Christopher Nolan was trying to make. And that was it. Like but it took a lot to get there, I'm sure. Yeah. Like it, You
have technical and method acting. Method is where you're becoming that character to the point where it's like, from this point to this point, there is no Aaron Williamson. It's PCP gibber or whatever, yeah. Whatever your character's name is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What movie was that? Or that was a show, right?
That was a Rookie. I'm actually doing stunts on it right now. I go back the week after next.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool. I saw it on TV
Yeah.
a couple months ago, and I texted him. I was like, "Is this you?" Because it's kind of fast. And I'm like, "I'm pretty sure that's Aaron." That's awesome. One more Hollywood question: did you ever meet Tom Cruise?
No, I didn't. I almost worked with him on Oblivion.
Oh, I love that movie.
But then the only reason that did not happen was I was based in New Orleans, and I had already started a production. If they were shooting in New Orleans, I probably would have been able to train with them.
Yeah.
But that production was in Baton Rouge, so it was a couple hours drive.
I only ask because I just feel like there's a lot of great actors and actresses out there, but I feel like he's up at the top. Like the movies he puts out, what I see him do, like if he's in a movie, it's going to be a good movie. You just know it is.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He puts everything he has into it.
Yeah. Yeah. You can tell.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, cool. All right. So we get out of Hollywood though, right? You didn't stay in. You're obviously not in now. What made you kind of think, okay, I need to go do something else? Because if you found that passion in acting, I totally get that. That sounds like something that'd be great. Now, if you can work out all the time, be jacked, and get into acting and be around all these cool people and everything, what kind of led to the end of that and wanting to leave?
Well, my acting and stunt stuff started to pick up when I was in New Orleans. So I actually signed on with some new representation, bigger representation in Los Angeles. So I moved to LA in 2015.
Okay.
I mean, it was the craziest.
It's like culture shock.
Yeah. And literally I got into town on a Tuesday. Or no, I got into town on a Monday evening. I had a wardrobe fitting on Tuesday. I filmed Wednesday and Thursday, and on Friday I was on a plane to South America to film.
Oh, wow.
So like that was my first week in LA. So like it just started off with a bang. And then things went well all the way up until 2020. 2020 was mapped out to be probably the biggest year I had on the acting front.
Damn.
And I was actually phasing away from fitness a little bit because there was something that was just like really drawing me into the acting. But COVID hit, the whole industry shut down. In January, I had moved to Vegas because I needed to get away from the craziness of LA, but I was still close enough that I could drive there. COVID hit, industry shut down. And then it was like, when is it going to come back online? I don't know. So I was trying to figure out what my next steps were. I was still doing my acting classes, still doing my stunt training, still doing everything I could to be prepared for when I got the call. But things just kept getting nuttier and nuttier during COVID. And obviously with this clown ass administration that came in and made everything even worse, I couldn't see a light at the end of the tunnel to get back. So I started doing my own. I took all my knowledge and everything I did in the film industry, everything I did in fitness, and I put it all into one place and started doing online coaching.
Yeah.
And it was doing well. And then I met this sales dude who brought me out to Arizona on a huge lie. And so I'm now getting back into the film and TV side because it's starting to normalize a little bit. And the phone's ringing now that it hadn't been ringing in a while. Like I said, I was just in LA last month. I'm going to be back in LA this month. I'm cast for another movie that I think should start filming early spring. So I'm back in the right direction of getting things going again. Yeah. There was just a little bit of a detour.
The phone literally rang when we were at your house the other day.
Yeah. Literally that.
It was literally the plug-in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love it because you got such a great, dude, think about your background. Like if there's guys out there that are like looking for other men to like help lead them or get them in shape or whatever, like your military background is not just like he was a Marine, I was Navy, but like you did some really unique stuff while you're in there, which we talked about, got a lot out of that. And then the training, you basically built your own business in New Orleans going door to door, which is amazing because you built that from scratch, which is incredibly difficult to build any business from scratch. And then the Hollywood stuff. And now like you're bringing it all back together. I love that. And you're working your shirt says Superhuman. I haven't met John yet, but we're big fans of John Madsen and what you guys are doing there. So tell us what you're doing with Superhuman.
So Superhuman, one, John is very singular focused on the business, right? He's not trying to be an influencer. He's not trying to get on stage and speak. He likes to build the best online fitness coaching business he can build. And that's it. Like, here we are. I'm working, and then here's my family. So it's very simplistic, but he's built, and I've become part of now, a team that exudes what I think suprahuman is. We all live the lifestyle. But at the same time, it's not for everybody because it's a little more on the pricey side. And we get shit about it all the time. Like, why do you gotta make so much money? Like, well, let me tell you this. I've done so much free shit. I've done so many discounted fitness programs. I've done so many discounted nutrition programs. Anytime you discount anything or give it for free, it's watered down and no one takes it seriously. They'll adhere to it for as long as their piddly ass mind can handle. And then they're on looking to the next thing. So we want to work with people who have skin in the game and who are committed.
Yep.
And that's the difference between what we're doing now and most of the other coaching programs is we're focused on the basics, right? You work with a lot of these different coaching companies and they try and take someone and insert all these biohacking things and like complicate the shit out of everyone's life. And it's like, if you're a CEO who's on the road 3 to 4 times a week, we've got to figure out how to best position you so that you can get results with the crazy schedule that you have. I can't take my cookie cutter program and, put it in there and think it's going to work. It doesn't. But yeah, so it's executive CEO level people who really want to work. And I mean, if you look at the pictures and testimonials, which I'm sure you have, I mean, it speaks for itself, but I love being a part of the Superhuman team just because it's what I represent. It's like, I want to be superhuman.
Yeah.
I want to, like, as I get older, I want to continually push the boundaries of what I'm able to accomplish with age. I don't want to be that person who's 50 looking like I'm 100.
Right.
I can't stand up. I'm in a walker. I'm on Medicaid. Like, I want to be the elite of the elite, no matter what age I am.
You know, it's funny, something that you said there about the basics, right? And the people are always looking for the crazy biohack. And you and I have talked about this ad nauseum, just, in whatever conversation and stuff. And, because we get a lot of people, you and I both get a lot of people talking to us about, or what's the next crazy thing? What's the red light or the da-da-da-da? And it's like, no, if you want to be superhuman, right? If you want to be the 1%, I was just talking about this yesterday on my story too. It's like, master the basics. And Justin and I talk about that all the time. It's like, no, you know what? Your guys' team does really well. You've mastered the basics for a really long time. Like the guys that are on John's team, and I've seen most of those guys, like they've mastered the basics for a really long time. You know why Justin has fucking abs at 40? Because he's mastered the basics for a really long time. It's like, there's no biohack or secret. Now there are certain instances where, some of these things come into, can be really, really beneficial. Right. And we use a lot of those things, but we use them as tools. It's just to enhance the basics. It's not a replacement for,
Well, you just said it, mastering the basics. Which comes back down to what we were talking about before, the mindset, right?
Yeah.
Can you take the basics and master them? Can you mentally do the same thing every day to break your current habits to develop the new lifestyle? Can you do that? Because if you can do that, then you're going to be set up for success. Then you can progressively get into the biohacking stuff as you get more acclimated to the transformation that's in progress.
Yep.
But people want to bypass and look past being able to take the basics and master them because they want to figure out what is the magic solution. There is none. And it should never be easy.
Yep.
Like my training right now still, I feel like gets harder and harder. Like I still have to push myself harder than I've ever pushed myself before, because if I don't, then I'm just going to be stale. Like there's no there's no stimulus for my body to adapt to. There's no stimulus for my brain to adapt to. Like it's fleeting.
Yeah. You know, and the cool thing that you said is it's not that the exercises have to get harder. It's that you just have to mentally go harder at the exercise. Intensity. Yeah. You know Brandon Allen, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
From Vegas. Yeah.
Vegas.
So he's a really good friend of mine. And we were talking about this before because somebody asked me the question. I squatted 911 in 2018. And I get asked all the time when I tell people like, oh, what was your training like for that? And I was like, I did the same exact 5 movements every single day for 2 years. And they're like, and at the end of it, I was only training 3 times a week because I needed the rest.
Yep.
And they're like, what? And then, you know, Brandon was the first guy to squat over 1,000 pounds raw, or one of the first Americans. I don't remember. He's gonna be pissed at me right now for butchering it, but one of the first Americans to ever squat over 1,000 pounds raw in competition. And he gets asked daily, what was the training secret or whatever? He goes, I squatted 75%, 85%, 95%, and then 1 rep max every single week for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Next, like, what do you mean? There is no secret. There's no secret training thing. There's no fucking, he's like, I did the exact same. He goes, I still do the exact same workouts.
Well, my current training blocks, I might run them for 16 weeks, maybe sometimes even 20 weeks.
Yep.
Most people can't even run a training block for 4 weeks before they want a new one.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah. No, it's great. We've run into that a ton where people are just like, and they want to change it every week almost. So
I did this exercise last week. I'm like, Congratulations.
Yeah. So I got one more question for you, Aaron.
Yeah.
So I, in your own words, I would love to hear what it feels like in your mind and like inside you when you have mastered the physical basics of doing the gym, the supplements, the nutrition, the habits, the wake ups, the sleep, all the stuff that you do. How does that really resonate in your mind? And like, how does that affect maybe your confidence or just who you are?
I think when you can tackle that piece, I call it like bulletproofing your mind. Because I really believe that it can solidify all the things in your life to a place where nothing can derail you. Nothing can take you off path. Nothing can take you off course. This is part of the lifestyle. So from a mental standpoint, as I'm getting stronger, as I'm looking better, as my clothes start fitting better, I start talking differently. I start standing taller. People recognize my physique more. It sparks conversation. There's more ice-breaking moments with people I don't know. So it's like it just opens up door after door after door. So conversations that you have with people now, you probably would never have before. And some of those conversations can lead to like massive business opportunities.
Yeah.
Because I also truly believe that when you can tackle that piece, which is what most people, no matter how successful you are missing, when you can tackle that, it says something about you and your discipline. It says something about you and how much you take pride in yourself. And I said it long before whatever his name is started saying it, but like you got like I want to be a walking billboard. I've been saying it forever. And whoever I work with are a walking billboard of me. So yeah. I take what I do and who I train very seriously. So I could talk about that piece all day long.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I wanted to hear it in your own words because a lot of people have a hard time seeing the connection between physical fitness and everything else. But you said it really well. Like it's true. Like when you start to change, you start to change. Like if you want to change, you have to change. I know that might sound a little contradictory, kind of weird, but it's like when you actually put in the work day to day and master what it takes to get healthier, to get stronger, to have your clothes fit a certain way. I think that's where where my favorite word comes in. That's where you've earned that new level of who you are.
Yeah.
So if anyone's skeptical out there, it's like, well, look, the only way to do it is to try it. You've got to do it. You can't research it. You can't listen to Aaron for 2 hours. You can't listen for us for 2 hours. Like you can only experience it yourself. So if anybody out there is like, man, what do I do? Like, you just have to start.
Yep.
You got to start. Hit up Aaron. Like, do anything. Start walking. Start moving and changing your body, and your mind will go with it.
You have, like you just said, you have to start, and you have to start now.
Yeah, like
not
today.
not Monday, not like this whole Monday thing drives me nuts. It's like, it doesn't matter what day it is.
No.
When your mind says I'm ready, you start.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just by getting up in the next morning and going for a walk, you started.
I think, matter of fact, right now, listening, if this is you, like, do some air squats right now. Do some push-ups right now.
Yep.
Like, stop doing whatever you're doing. Keep your headphones in and go get that gym membership. Like, start doing it right now. Go for a walk right now while we finish this podcast.
Yep.
You know, like, that's what we mean, like, right now. It's not, well, when it's over and then when the laundry is done and then when after dinner. Like, no, you've got to, like, you has to be now.
That's the secret of mastering your mindset, is when you have that spark, because everybody has the spark of inspiration, right? Or they have the spark of motivation, and they go, I wrote it down and I'm going to, and this is where resolutions, right? It's January, 2nd right now, 3rd, January 3rd. And most people, I mean, the gym was empty when I went earlier. It was empty, which is crazy.
Because it's not Monday.
That's true. Yeah. And it was Ozempic too.
Next Monday it'll be busy.
Next Monday it'll be busy. But, when you have that spark of inspiration or motivation, you have to do it now. And now means now, where it's like, okay, I know I need to change my body. So, and by doing the movement, right, whatever it is, and it doesn't matter if it's not optimal or whatever, right? It doesn't have to be a program or anything like that. But like Justin said, do some air squats right now, because that solidifies your new mindset. The action solidifies the mindset. And when you have that spark of inspiration, you don't act on it. Even if you write something down, you're not really acting on it. You're just writing it down, which helps. But like, acting on it right then is insanely important to lock that mindset in.
Stop looking for perfection, because it'll never exist. You just have to start, and it's not going to be pretty at the beginning. Your form might suck. You might be sore for a while, but at the end of the day, you started, and those are all gauges of progress, right? Because the following week, you're not going to be as sore.
Yep.
The following week, you're going to start to notice maybe a little bit of something if you're doing it right.
Yep.
Love it. Well, hey guys, everyone go follow Aaron. I know you got a lot of value out of this. Can't wait to see your new shows and movies and all the stuff you're into. But all the information about how to get in touch with you and Superhuman and all that stuff is below wherever people are listening right now. So they can scroll down, click out, come find you. Thank you for coming on, bro. Been wanting to do this for a long time.
Yeah, we've been talking about it forever. So I mean, honestly, we should have like a day podcast. We'll just do it for 24 hours.
I'm totally down for that. We'll do a longer form like that.
That'd be cool.
We'll blow Joe Rogan out of the water with that.
We got a lot to talk about, man.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, hey, man, it's good to see you.
You too.
Best of luck with everything. And we'll see you on the screen and in the gym.
Raw.
All right. Cheers.
Let's go.